I think of us as still in this sort of reaccumulation phase of the market. You get the bottom of the bear. You do this sort of burst upwards to confirm you're out of the bear market, and then it sort of chops around sideways um, as people reaccumulate coins, and then eventually it's full-on bull market. We're still in reaccumulation phase. That's without a doubt. Um, and in that phase is anything can happen. It can chop around wildly. We break all-time highs. Went from 70 now to almost 100 in no time flat. Consolidating underneath that by the looks. But sure, it can go past 100,000. We have our party, and then the whole thing could come back down to 70.
Popular Bitcoin on-chain analyst Willy Woo recently shared his insights on the current state of the Bitcoin market and his predictions for the leading cryptocurrency in 2025. During an exclusive interview with Unchained, his first in over 3 years, Woo emphasized that, despite recent price movements that have seen Bitcoin reach multiple all-time highs, the market is still in the accumulation phase of the bull market, with much more to come in 2025. A few weeks ago, Woo predicted that Bitcoin's next major target would be the $120,000 level, based on macro Fibonacci analysis, which uses previous cycle highs and the current cycle lows to forecast the next resistance level. Woo suggested that after Bitcoin stabilizes in the $88,000 to $91,000 range, its next significant market move would likely take it to $120,000 per coin. However, he highlighted the potential for significant price volatility during the consolidation phase, anticipating wild price swings as Bitcoin seeks to establish a new baseline before pushing towards the $120,000 milestone. According to Woo, the key factor in reaching this target will be the formation of new liquidation clusters. These clusters will offer insights into market sentiment and the price levels at which traders are most vulnerable, influencing Bitcoin's next major move. In his interview with Unchained, Woo provided a more detailed analysis of Bitcoin's current market conditions and what to expect as the market evolves in 2025. His forecast suggests that the path ahead will be volatile but promising for Bitcoin holders and investors.
Hi guys, hope to see you guys at Dubai Token 2049. We have exclusive 10% off the limited super early bird tickets. Click the link below. This pass will grant you access to speaking sessions, networking app, exhibition hall, daily networking drinks, and also included breakfast, lunch, and coffee breaks, all included the package. I love to see everyone there. Peace out.
Your thoughts on the current state of the Bitcoin market?
Oh, that's a broad one. Yeah, it's quite every cycle. If there's one thing you can trust is the changes, and so that hasn't changed. That I'm like looking at, what has changed with this market. Obviously, we had in the last cycle, MicroStrategy coming in with corporate treasuries. Futures was a big part of the last cycle. And institutional hedge funds coming in. And so I think this cycle, just looking at the impacts of I think the key impacts right now, MicroStrategy going on full flight on their Bitcoin acquisition, and then the BlackRock, in particular spot ETF, but the whole broad collection of spot ETFs coming in and offering a very efficient way for TradFi to buy in. And so that's really changing the structure of the market. So looking at that type of impact, and you can see also, I'm looking at just how heavily hit the altcoin space has been with so much capital coming into Bitcoin, not necessarily rotating into altcoins, and just how absent retail has been in this cycle. I mean, it looks like they're just starting to come in the last 4 or so weeks. But it's been a ghost town. So yeah, just very interesting to see how much of each, the structure of each cycle is changing. And probably the hidden side is I'm kind of trying to figure out if more of the sovereigns will come in, and maybe they are coming in, but quietly. This stuff is out there, and it is starting to roll out. And the interesting thing in this cycle is that the credibility of Bitcoin is post BlackRock is skyrocketing, and so we're starting to see banks come in and offer financing on your Bitcoin. Mortgage your Bitcoin, get some cash. Your Bitcoin's climbing at 20 to 80% annualized. Your interest rate might be 6% if you're tapping into TradFi loans. And so you get into an interesting situation where, even these yield products now, because they are actually shares and hedge funds, I believe by the next cycle will be acknowledged by banks as collateral, just like you can front your MicroStrategy shares or your Apple shares at a brokerage and borrow US dollars. I think both the Bitcoins and shares in these types of funds can be a way of getting a Bitcoin mortgage. So it's like the best bet on the planet, and even today, we've still got at least a 10x, 20x to go. And the chances of it winning are, I think well north of 90%. So it's just a ridiculous investment proposition. And I agree, it's just really quite different to see it all happening. To see these guys like Larry Fink talk about Bitcoin as the future. I came back from Switzerland just last month and I posted, the chief investment officer of a boutique private bank. I go there every year because we're partnered with this bank. And last year we think Bitcoin is a really great investment. And here are the reasons why. 1 year later, the chief investment officer of this bank says, we think it's got the right properties right now to be the next global reserve currency. It's quite a radical statement for a bank.
Banking executives are beginning to take Bitcoin seriously after over a decade of dismissing the cryptocurrency market. As Matt Hogan, CIO of Bitwise, pointed out in a recent tweet, even Barron's is now discussing Bitcoin ETF options strategies. In an article titled Bitcoin Could Keep Surging in Trump 2.0, here's the smart way to play it. The focus is on how investors can use Bitcoin ETF options to capitalize on the growing interest in cryptocurrencies. The article suggests that Bitcoin will be a key beneficiary if Donald Trump returns to the White House, with ETF options trading patterns signaling further price increases. One of the strategies highlighted is a risk reversal approach using Bitcoin ETF options, which could provide higher returns than buying Bitcoin directly. Aggressive investors might sell the March $50 put and buy the March $60 call for around $5.80. This strategy allows investors to buy low and profit from a price rally. If the ETF rises to $80, the call option could be worth $27, offering a significant return on investment. The article suggests that this strategy could yield around 46% if the ETF reaches a record high of $80, compared to the much higher price Bitcoin would need to reach to provide the same return. Experts like Willy Woo believe Bitcoin could surge even higher before the market cycle ends in 2025, making this approach a potentially lucrative way to play the market.
Do you think we're at in the current cycle? Yeah, is it still just getting started? Are we potentially going to hit gold parity maybe even next year, or is it already in the later innings? How would you frame it?
I'd be surprised if we hit gold parity this cycle. Who knows? I know my friend Samson Mao thinks definitely 1 million this cycle. And of course, he's going around the world convincing nation states to buy this as a strategic reserve. And so maybe he sees something I don't. I haven't actually talked to him on the details of that. Like structurally where we are, we haven't broken all-time highs. Sorry, we have, but we haven't broken the key 100,000. We broke the all-time high, but we didn't actually. I think of us as still in the sort of reaccumulation phase of the market. You kind of get the bottom of the bear. You do the sort of burst upwards to confirm you're out of the bear market, and then it sort of chops around sideways as people reaccumulate coins, and then eventually it's full on bull market, and then you get the top and the first of the bear. Right, these are the phases I think of. We're still in reaccumulation phase. That's without a doubt. And in that phase is anything can happen. It can chop around wildly. We break all-time highs. Went from 70 now to almost 100 in no time flat. Consolidating underneath that by the looks. But sure, it can go past 100,000. We have our party, and then the whole thing could come back down to 70. All sorts of things can happen in the zone. remember last cycle, it was like, whoa, we got past 10,000, everyone's feeling bullish. And then COVID hit and we dropped down to 4 very quickly, came back to 10, spent a lot of time at 10 before it sort of coiled up enough to really make its run. So the question is, what happens when we really make our run? And when will that be? And it's certainly not right now. It's still, like, in my opinion, relatively safe to buy in this phase of the market reaccumulation because it hasn't made its run. And I have a risk signal that we use internally for our hedge fund, but it's really measuring how much capital is flowing into the network, and then estimating liquidity conditions of the market. And the thing is, it measures the risk on that, right? So the risk of drawing down, and usually the signal starts to go to it's either a 0 to 1 signal. It's usually 0 or 1, and it transitions very quickly. It's still at 0, and it's been 0 pretty much the entire cycle. That's why I knew that we would break our all-time high without a doubt. But once it goes to 1, you got a few months before the thing tops, and we haven't even gone to 1 yet. So still, I think we're still warming up. And of course, as everyone who's been following this knows, it's likely going to be in the tail end of next year before we get that full-blown bull cycle. I expect the risk to then start to climb as everyone goes DGN and everything starts to explode. But for now, it's still reaccumulation. Maybe we get past 100 before Christmas, but who knows? We're consolidating by the looks right now.
In recent news, Bitcoin has officially surpassed the $100,000 mark for the first time, setting a new all-time high above $103,500. This surge pushes Bitcoin's market cap to over $2 trillion. Additionally, El Salvador's Bitcoin reserves are now showing more than $300 million in profits, a significant challenge to the International Monetary Fund, which has consistently pressured the country to sell off its Bitcoin holdings and abandon the cryptocurrency as legal tender. Meanwhile, BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF, IBIT, has made history by becoming the fastest ETF to reach $50 billion in assets, achieving this milestone in just 228 days. Bloomberg ETF analyst Eric Balchunas highlighted that this is over 5 times faster than any other ETF, making it an unprecedented achievement in the market. Experts, including Real Vision founder Raoul Pal and Bitcoin billionaire Tim Draper, predict Bitcoin's price will continue to rise, with estimates suggesting it could hit at least $250,000 by late 2025. Draper is particularly bullish, believing Bitcoin will eventually reach millions of dollars per coin and become the global currency for everyday transactions, including food, clothing, shelter, and taxes. What are your thoughts on the future of Bitcoin? Feel free to share your comments below. For more Daily Dose Crypto news, check out these 2 awesome videos on your screen. Click now and we will see you on the next video.